The Pittsburgh Steelers' search for their next offensive coordinator just took an unexpected turn as Saints quarterbacks coach Scott Tolzien, who was in Pittsburgh yesterday to interview for the Steelers' offensive coordinator position, has reportedly turned down the position, and now the Steelers are shifting focus to a new offensive coordinator candidate. That's coming from a very interesting coaching tree. Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today we're going to be breaking down why Scott Tolzien reportedly turned down the Steelers OC position and then the OC candidate that the Steelers are now turning to. But make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because this is why you subscribe to Steelers Talk. Every time there's a major news update, we're getting you guys a video. We actually had a different video planned for this morning, and we shifted gears with the new news. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because every time we get an update and whenever we make that higher for the next offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're going to get another video out to you guys as soon as we can. So if you don't want to miss a move, if you don't want to miss a trade, a signing, a draft pick, any of that, make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now to join us this offseason. So we'll get to the report here from Jordan Schultz this morning saying sources, Saints QB's coach Scott Tolzien plans to remain in New Orleans after interviewing for the Steelers OC job. He was viewed as a top candidate for the job, but will remain with Kellen Moore to continue developing Tyler Shuck. Now, just so you guys know, I think that this is probably coming from Tolzien's representation, so this is definitely, maybe spun in a way that's going to make Tolzien look like he turned down the job instead of the other way around. But then Jordan Schultz also reported just minutes after that Saints tight ends coach Chase Hazlitt, who interviewed for the Steelers passing game coordinator and tight ends coach position, will also remain in New Orleans. I'm told it was Hazlitt's decision, a fast-rising coach to watch moving forward in upcoming cycles. Once again, I think that this is probably coming from Hazlitt and Tolzien's representation, so it's possible the Steelers said no to them, but it is also possible, of course, that these two young and up-and-coming coaches said no to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for me, guys, this is a double bummer for the Steelers. And, I was really excited to hear that Hazlitt was interviewing for the job and, that Tolzien was interviewing in person. And I thought for sure that this was going to get done. But the question that's probably on your mind is, why didn't it get done? It seemed like this was, this had all the momentum in the world to get done. So why did Tolzien and Hazlitt decide to turn down the Pittsburgh Steelers? Well, I think that there's three potential reasons. Probably the most likely reason is it was a non-play calling role. I mean, Mike McCarthy said that he's never giving up play calling duties again as long as he is a coach in the National Football League. He did that, and he had that sort of arrangement with Kellen Moore his first few years there with the Dallas Cowboys, and he took it back from Kellen Moore, who he eventually let go there in Dallas. And Tolzien probably went into Pittsburgh yesterday thinking that he could, convince McCarthy to give him offensive play calling duties, and McCarthy likely told him no, and that was probably a non-negotiable thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tolzien probably thought, you know what, I'll probably get an opportunity to be a play calling OC next offseason if I stay another year with Kellen Moore and Tyler Shuck there in New Orleans. I don't want to go to Pittsburgh and then not call plays. I think he probably preferred to stay in New Orleans if he wasn't going to call the offensive plays here in Pittsburgh. Also, it's possible that Tolzien did not like the quarterback plan here in Pittsburgh. Maybe he wants to move forward with Will Howard, or he wants to go out and get a Malik Willis or a Kyler Murray, or he wants to draft Garrett Nussmeier, who he just coached in the Senior Bowl this past weekend. Maybe he doesn't want Aaron Rodgers to return, and that doesn't align with what the Pittsburgh Steelers want to do. It's possible that they disagreed on what the team should be doing at the quarterback position moving forward, and that's why he ends up turning down the Steelers. Also, it's just like any other business negotiations, it's possible that they didn't offer him enough money. Maybe he wanted to be one of the higher paid OCs in the league, especially if he wasn't going to be calling offensive plays. And McCarthy and the Steelers probably told him, no, our budget is going towards, a higher salary for our defensive coordinator who is going to be running our defense, and Patrick Graham. We don't want to pay, as much money as you're asking for a non-play calling role, especially for somebody that's not even 40 years old and has never called plays in the National Football League before. So, those are probably the three reasons. It's probably some combination of those three why the Steelers and Scott Tolzien did not come to terms to make him the next offensive coordinator of the Black and Gold. But now the Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly shifting their focus to a new offensive coordinator target. And guys, I'm actually pretty intrigued by this name that we're going to be breaking down in the second half of today's show. But before we get into the rest of today's program, guys, if you haven't gotten your special someone something nice for Valentine's Day yet, this is a great opportunity to cash in on some new merch that we currently have on our website right now. We got this brand new collection of original merchandise for you guys to consider buying today. It's our Married Into This collection, Steel City Football, and we've got our logo on there. I helped design this myself, and I think that, this is a really cool thing that you guys can get your significant others, especially if you are married and your wife maybe wasn't a Steelers fan before she met you. I think this is a really cool piece that you can get for your special someone, and also super comfortable. And the sweatshirts that we have available come in both black and white, and they can also be worn by the fellas as well. This is not just, a female-only piece, but we do have ladies' t-shirts if your wife would prefer a t-shirt to wear to maybe Latrobe and Steelers training camp next year. We do have t-shirts available. If you guys want to see what it looks like here, this is what it looks like in the straight form, but also in a picture on a woman here. You guys can see that. And it's super comfortable. It helps out the show. And my bosses tell me if we can really do a lot of good numbers on this merchandise, we can do more stuff for St. Patrick's Day, which is coming up here, the NFL Draft. We can do some stuff with any players that the Steelers add via free agency or the draft, and we can continue our original merchandise here on Steelers Talk. So if you guys want to help out the channel, the link is down there in the comments and description of today's show. And if you haven't gotten your special someone something yet, if you capitalize right now, you can get this merchandise before February 14th. So make sure you guys take care of that right now. I greatly appreciate all of your guys' support. So our new offensive coordinator target here in Pittsburgh, according to the latest reports, is Minnesota Vikings tight ends coach and pass game coordinator Brian Angelichio, who is somebody that's a very well-respected tight ends coach. He's been in the league since 2012, and is actually a former employee of Mike McCarthy back in Green Bay. He's worked with Aaron Rodgers before. And he's somebody that has obviously worked under Kevin O'Connell since 2022 and has helped cultivate, one of the better passing attacks in the National Football League during that span. Mark Caboli had the news yesterday on X saying the Steelers will now pivot to Minnesota passing game coordinator and tight ends coach and Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell's right-hand man, Brian Angelichio, for an interview at some point over the next few days, according to sources. Angelichio is considered a strong contender and is a serious candidate to be named the Steelers offensive coordinator by the end of the week. So Caboli said last night that the Steelers planned on bringing him in sometime this week. And then Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette confirmed today that Angelichio is actually in Pittsburgh today, meeting with head coach Mike McCarthy about the possibility of becoming the next offensive coordinator and tight ends coach here in Pittsburgh. And that would certainly be something that I would like, guys, because Angelichio is known as one of the better tight ends coaches in the entire National Football League. He's got obviously experience working for McCarthy in Green Bay. Now he's a little bit older, especially when you're comparing him to a guy like Scott Tolzien, who's 38. Brian is 53 years old. He's been in the league for 14 years and has never called offensive plays. But this would be a role here in Pittsburgh where he wouldn't be asked to be calling plays. He would obviously be the right-hand man to Mike McCarthy, the offensive-minded head coach, who of course will be calling plays here in Pittsburgh. You guys can take a look here at his coaching history. He actually started, his D1 college coaching career with the Pitt Panthers. Spent 5 seasons with the Panthers from 2006 through 2010. Then he had a 1-year stop at Rutgers. Then he made the move to the National Football League with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a couple of seasons. Then spent another couple years in Cleveland. Spent 3 seasons with the Green Bay Packers under Mike McCarthy. Spent 1 year in Washington, 2 years with the Carolina Panthers, and then has been with the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell since 2022. He has had the tight ends coach role in every one of those spots. He has been the pass game coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings ever since he got there in 2022. Angelichio is also being considered for the Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator position this offseason and was considered a favorite to get that job before they ended up going in a different direction. But honestly, guys, I wouldn't mind if we added some chaos KOC influence into this offense. I mean, Kevin O'Connell is known as one of the best, passing game play designers in the National Football League, especially when it comes to the play action game. Especially when they had Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold. I mean, some of the stuff that they would draw up for guys like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison were just absolutely fantastic stuff. And there's even been guys like KJ Osborne and Jalen Naylor that have thrived in KOC's offense there in Minnesota. And Angelichio has been the pass game coordinator during that time. So he obviously can bring in a little bit of influence from that KOC Sean McVay tree into the Mike McCarthy world of offensive football. And I think that this would be a really good pairing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's got Pittsburgh ties. He's worked with Mike McCarthy before. Aaron Rodgers would be familiar with him. I think that this would be a good hire for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I do expect him to probably be the choice at this point in time to be the next OC of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Would you like the hire of Brian Angelichio as Pittsburgh's next OC? Give me a yes or no down there in the comment section to finish up today's show. Now, like I said, guys, my best guess is that this gets done sooner rather than later. It would not surprise me at all if we get the news later today that Brian Angelichio is the next offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if that happens, we're going to make sure to get you guys a breaking news video on the channel as soon as we can. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, just in case the news breaks today. Also, we plan on going live at some point today here on Steelers Talk, and we'll be going live multiple times during this week. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we got a bunch of great Steelers content coming your way as we get ready for NFL free agency.